This is Nathan Bowman with Draper Inc. Today we're going to cover how to set up sun tracking from an SSI Plus. To do that, we will start at our main menu that shows our sensor readings and we will hit enter. Very similar to the SSI, you see your sensor schedules, but what is different with the SSI Plus is you now have glare groups. So we're going to navigate down to that option. Hit enter. And from here we have 8 glare groups available to us. So we have 8 sensor groups and 8 glare groups. So I'm going to select group 1. And right now it is not active, so I'm going to change that. I want this to be active. This is where you're going to set up your sun tracking parameters. So the azimuth, this is going to be the direction that these windows face off of true north, with 0 being north, 90 being east, 180 being south, and 270 being west. Typically I will go on Google Maps, do a screenshot of the building, and take some measurements to try to get this as accurate as possible. So to change your azimuth, you're going to hit enter, and you can change up to the 3 numerical values here. So I'm going to set this up for an azimuth of due south, so 180 degrees. My elevation is going to be 0. The only time you would want to change your elevation is if you start to incorporate skylight shades or shades that are horizontal more than vertical. Okay, the next menu option is minimum move. This is the move statement that you want the shades to respond to from sun tracking. Typically, I will see this set up in 25% increments, but you can be as finite or as granular as you would like. So I'm going to set this up with a 25% minimum movement, meaning that the shades are technically going to have 5 positions. 0 fully up, 25% from the top, 50% from the top, 75% from the top, and then 100, which is fully closed. So I'm going to set this up for 25% minimum movement. Okay, the next option in the menu is night. This is if you want the shades to perform a specific action at nighttime. By default, this is going to be set up to open, but if you would like to set up a privacy, you can change this to close. So I'm going to change that to close here. The height, this is where you're going to input the height of your window shades. This needs to be fairly accurate. It doesn't have to be down to the inch, but you don't want to say that you have a 12-foot shade when it's actually 6 feet, because that's going to affect the sun tracking movements. So we're going to leave this at an 8-foot height. My sill height, I'm going to leave it 0. This is just if you have an offset to account for the sunlight penetration. Let's say that your windows are 3 feet off the ground. You can take into that sill height to account for the sun tracking. My windows are straight to the ground, so I'm going to leave that at 0. Sunlight penetration, by default, this sets to 3 feet. This is totally configurable based on project specifications, customer comfort level. 3 feet is typically where I leave that, but you can configure that by hitting enter and just navigating up or down to change the numerical values. Again, 3 feet is my default that I typically start out with, and I will adjust based on customer feedback. Alright, the next menu option I have is horizon. This is going to be used if you have any obstruction directly in front of the window, such as another building, a line of trees, or anything else that may block the early morning direct sunlight penetration. We can allow to set up a false horizon to offset that. That way the shades aren't deploying before they're actually needed. In my instance, I do not have anything obstructing my view, so I'm not going to set up a false horizon. I'm just going to leave that at 0. From here, we're going to set up our group. By default, this is set up as a master group. I do not want that. I only want this to operate the shades on the south side, so we're going to change this. So we're going to hit enter. Again, we can select from master or custom, with custom being the add skip as the motors jog individually. But I've already set up my groups from my motor limit tool, so I'm going to go ahead and select a global group that I've set up. I set up global group 1, 2, and 4 on my motor. This motor is going to face south, so I want this to be part of global group 4. Going to navigate down, hit enter. And now this shade is part of the sun tracking group on the south side. The shades will automatically move based off of the algorithm. At this point, the sensors on the roof are acting as a cloud override. We are no longer relying on those to give us sun intensity levels. The algorithm will automatically move the shades to the optimal position. The sensors simply need to tell us if it is cloudy or not. Alright, thanks for watching. That covers the additional features of the SSI Plus. If you have any additional questions or concerns, please contact Draper Technical Support at 1-800-238-7999 and select option 3.